Well, I am so excited and happy to be here with Jill Orton. She is the Red Cross Regional Executive for our area. Jill, it's so good to see you again, and welcome back.
Oh, thanks, Andy, for asking me to be here today. It's always my pleasure to be able to chat with you and our audience today.
Um, my gosh, there's so much going on, and I'm going to just take a quick kind of go back through history, just a couple years, because I think we talked 2 years ago when all the flooding was happening in our community, which was devastating. And the Red Cross really, I mean, you're our go-to organization to help so many people that are hit with that kind of devastation.
That is what we do, and we're aligned to be able to scale up from that very community-based single-family fire all the way to this very immense, devastating across the entire state and into other states, these big disasters. And so that is what our amazing workforce does.
Yeah, and you guys are always on the front lines. Your front lines then, and then let's a year ago, COVID-19 hit, and so many families were dealing with a lot of and still are, but there's so much devastation in the impact of what happens in the community. And I know the Red Cross continues to just do so much for so many. So let's just talk a little bit about the pandemic and how the Red Cross and what you're doing for those families or organizations in the community.
Well, the Red Cross mission doesn't change. Our whole mission is about alleviating human suffering in the face of emergencies. And so single-family fires, multifamily fires still occur. We're still training our volunteers to do those responses. But what looks different is it's more like this, Andy. It's more having the conversation virtually with our clients. It's learning to use technology. It's learning to be able to make sure that we're doing preparedness in a different type of environment and learning new skills and training volunteers that may not have used technology in the past to use these tools to stay safe, to stay well. But our mission continues on. We continue to do what we do, just in different ways. We're also have our blood donations. It is one of the most critical things that people can do. And also, the donation of blood and plasma, because convalescent plasma has become one of the helping agents, and not a cure, but helps people get better. And so we're a big part of that, and our community contributes, but we have to be able to provide the safe space in order to take those donations. So that's what we do.
Well, and then let me ask you this. So with what you just said, and also the pandemic and everything, because you guys are always on the front lines, and you have been for, I mean, how many years? How many has the Red Cross? What is it, like 100, 150?
Well over 140 years.
Okay.
Well over 140 years. And in the Omaha metro area, we celebrated our 100-year anniversary in 2016.
Yeah. And so you're helping so many during these times. But how can people help you? Because you're needing blood donations, you're needing things from the community. So let's just talk a little bit about that.
Well, I'm really glad you asked, because, we often smile and say, well, we don't ask for one thing, we ask for many things, but you can pick and choose what works for you, your comfort level, and your family. We always can use volunteers, and we always ask, we provide a safe environment, whether it be in a virtual setting, but if you're really looking for and feel comfortable, we have blood donor ambassadors, so always recruiting volunteers that we want to engage in every community across the nation, but particularly in our viewing area. And then also looking at training those volunteers appropriately to do the work that we do. But then also it's donation of blood. So that's a big thing. But we also have a call out to get trained in CPR, get trained. My entry into the Red Cross was I became a lifeguard, and that was a big lifelong love of mine. And that's a big part of my Red Cross story. And then also knowing that our volunteers also serve our military members and make comfort and care calls to them as well. So we have a real wide breadth of what we do. And in order to be able to deliver the services, of course, we always ask, we have to balance out mission and margin. So we do ask for community support. We're not a government agency, which most people think we are. We're not. We are funded by the generosity of the American public.
Yeah, which is so important for people to know as well, is donations to the American Red Cross are, just really important. So typically this year, okay, you have your Heartland, your Heroes of the Heartland event that happens right now. So you're not doing that in person. Am I correct in saying that? Okay.
Last year, this event in person, with the governor being at that time our honorary chairman, that was our last elbow bumping event. And then boom, here we are. Welcome to my home office. Learning to really be effective in a different type of world. It affects everybody in different ways. And so we're having a virtual event this year, which we're very, very excited for, because it really helps us expand sharing our story and what we do. It's a really great opportunity for us. And it's actually going to happen. and
it's actually on the day that this airs, it's happening today.
Yes.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about that we just chatted about before we hit record is when you talk about Heroes in the Heartland and Heroes in the Heartland related to the American Red Cross, what kind of families or who are you looking for? Because people are nominating people. So let's look about what's going to happen in the next year. So how can people nominate somebody?
I'm so glad you're asking, because we do take nominations all year round. We always are looking for inspiring stories, but it is our public, our communities, members stepping forward and nominating those heroes in their lives. So it's personally asking yourself, so Andy, what do you think of as a hero? And your definition of a hero, because of your life experience, may be a little different than my experience. So what we're finding is a real wide swath of conversation around the amazing heroes during this pandemic time. Whether it be, we've had conversations around our healthcare workers, around our truck drivers, around our grocery store workers, and of course, tried and true for all of us are our public servants that are always willing to step up and in the call of duty to make our communities safe. So we have some really amazing 4 good stories this year that we're excited to tell.
Yeah. And so can people, after the fact, after the event, can people go to your website and learn more about those people?
Yes, they can. And we will also, we're actually if you connect to our social media, which we have Red Cross, Facebook social media, we have an Instagram social media, we have a Twitter social media. We'll actually show and put our videos on those platforms so people can see those stories.
Yeah.
The stories coming out.
Last question. If someone wants to volunteer, give blood, donate financially, where do they go?
So go to redcross.org and you type in your zip code and it brings you to your local Red Cross office. Or if the website is, you're tired of being online, you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS and you can connect to all of us. And we are welcome anybody into the Red Cross family. It is really for us to celebrate March is Red Cross Month, and it really imbibes the whole foundational American principle, and I love this, and I just have to read it. It is that principle of the duty to care, the duty of care we owe each other in times of crisis and when things get tough. And that's what we do. And that's what we talked about at the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Jill, again, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today and talk about the American Red Cross, and all the important things that you do and that you continue to do 24/7, 365 throughout the year. It's amazing. But, you know, we kind of look at sometimes focus in on these challenging times. But again, March is Red Cross Awareness Month, so encourage everybody to go find out more about how they can contribute. So Jill, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sandy, for having me here today.
And folks, we'll be right back. Well, everyone, I'm here. I'm so excited to be with Dominique Morgan, Executive Director of Black and Pink. So let's just first of all, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So we're going to talk, so first Black and Pink, let's just talk about the mission, but then we're going to dive into a bigger vision that you have. So
yeah. So Black and Pink is the largest organization in the country that looks at the needs of LGBTQ plus people who identify as living with HIV and AIDS, who have been impacted by the justice system. And when we use the term impacted, that allows us to look at the needs, of course, of people who have been incarcerated or formerly incarcerated, as myself, but also their children, their partners, the neighborhood, and the communities that they're connected to in a larger way. It allows us to really talk about mass incarceration as a public health issue and efforts that will be able to address it and be able to build healthy and striving communities.
So before we get into the Opportunity Campus, I just want to talk a little bit more about that. Like, where are you with that? I mean, how can people contribute to that piece?
So Black and Pink we're in our 16th year. I've been the executive director for 3 years. I moved the offices from Boston to Omaha when I became the ED because I believe in I believe in my city. I believe in our community. Our nonprofit community here is one of the most beautiful communities I've ever witnessed. And so when you think about showing up, of course, financial donations are awesome, but everything from just talking about the issues of mass incarceration at the dinner table and in places that you wouldn't, sharing information on social media, all the way to we have a pen pal program. There are opportunities for volunteerism. We also have Lighted House here in Omaha. We made history last February opening the first house for LGBTQ plus people who have been formerly incarcerated in the country. And so there's opportunities there as well.
So what brought you, because I'm totally sidebarring from this. What brought you from Boston to Omaha?
Well, I'm born and raised in Nebraska. And I will be 39 in March, but from the age of 18 to 27, I navigated Nebraska's correction system. I was incarcerated. I was a youth in foster care. I was a youth in homeless shelters here. I was a young person on the street. And so when I was released from prison February 16th of 2009, I really wanted to be able to give back. And I was able to get opportunities. I worked at Charles Drew and I was able to get my undergrad. I have a master's from Georgetown and I was positioned to take this role with Black and Pink, but I told them I wouldn't take it if I could not move the offices to a community that I know and love. And also there's power in us being in the center of the country. People, that flyover states conversation, those of us from Nebraska, from Omaha, we know the power that exists here. And I wanted to weaponize that to create change through Black and Pink. And so we're 3 years in, and it's been a beautiful experience.
All right. Oh my goodness. All right. We're going to keep having conversations about that, but let's talk about Opportunity Campus. Yes. What is that?
The Opportunity Campus, again, as a young person who was impacted by the system here and someone who still works in juvenile justice, I was honored to be awarded from the Nebraska Juvenile Justice Association as the Juvenile Justice Leader of the Year just a week ago. We need to activate this work in a broader way. And on top of and these spaces are in Nebraska, but they serve the country. Our Lighthouse Initiative, we've had women from all across the country, Black trans women, move to Omaha to find a space that they can thrive. We have a girl from Memphis here right now. Imagine, Omaha is the space that you come to heal and be able to grow. And so I believe we can use that same platform for young people. There is an incredible space in North Omaha. I'm a kid that grew up, born and raised in North Omaha, that I believe the power of a queer ran as a Black trans woman to be able to steward that work in a historically Black neighborhood and to be able to create space for immediately 10 young people to have apartments. We have plans for a school, for a full industrial kitchen to be able to offer hot meals, community-based space, and to really, again, that North Omaha 24th Street corridor that I grew up walking down with my parents and grandparents, to be able to find a space of healing and restoration seems incredible. And we'll be able to serve young people all across the United States that will come to Omaha again to find their new life.
Okay, so I'm looking at my notes, and I have to look at my notes, what will success look like, feel like in 5 to 10 years?
In 5 to 10 years, I will see more people like me than not like me. As a Black trans woman who's formerly incarcerated, the life expectancy of Black trans women is 32. I'll be 39 in March. The idea of me having a undergrad degree, a graduate degree, I am the only Black trans woman running a nonprofit at this level in the entire country. Wow. And there's a space where I could be happy with that, and I can be like, oh, look at me. But success for me looks like there are a bunch of Dominique Morgans. There are a bunch of folks like me that there's a list of people that you just couldn't even count how many people you could talk to about their success who have parts of my story. That's what success looks like, because I'm here by hard work, but I'm also here by grace and by community loving me and supporting me. And so I really believe it's my responsibility to pay that back. And I believe Black and Pink is the tool I've been given to do that. And I've been blessed to do it for 3 years. And through the Opportunity Campus, I foresee us shifting the entire culture of youth needs in this country right here in Omaha, Nebraska. All
right, Dominique, let me ask you this, because we do have a couple minutes left. How can people, across the country, how can people contribute and really take what you're doing, which to me is huge, necessary, and so important? How can we contribute to you, whether it's me or whoever it is? How can we help you get that message out? Because what you're doing is freaking amazing, and it's important. And it's big. It's huge.
It is. And that's why the help piece, I don't want help. I want folks to engage in solidarity effort.
Yeah.
Because what I was saying to someone yesterday is that this is a part of my dream, but I don't want this to be hinged on my existence. If in 5 years, I win the lottery and I want to be on a beach somewhere in the middle of our snowstorm here in Nebraska, but I'm calling y'all saying, girl, look at this sun. I want these endeavors to continue to grow. And the only way that happens is if community is not only involved in how it's created, they're involved in it coming into fruition. And that's where donations are essential. We have $300,000 we need to acquire in the next 60 days to get this space. And the beautiful thing about that is that as soon as we buy that building, there are 10 apartments immediately available for young people. And outside of that, talking about it, telling people what's happening here. I talked to someone in New York the other day. I can't believe this would be happening in Omaha, Nebraska. Well, not only is this happening here, but Andrea, as you know, so much incredible work happens here. Talk about it. Tell them that Black and Pink is here. If you want to talk about my story, it's everywhere from TED Talks to other things. You can inbox me on Facebook, but just tell them that young people in our country, including in Omaha, are spending the night on the streets, are not thriving in justice systems. And these are the kids who will be living next door to us. These are the kids that will be dating our friends and our nieces and nephews. And don't we want everybody around us to thrive? And so this project, I really believe, gets Omaha further down the line to the Omaha that you and I and so many of our friends are working towards every day. You come from generational change makers. I know that. And so I want to be able to invest in young people to where they're a part of that too. So talking about it, again, investing financially, because that's going to be essential, and telling people that this work is viable, because also it's about community investment of just caring. We want you all to care about this work, because that is how our people are safe and protected. And in 5 years, I believe that we'll be having a conversation about the 5-year anniversary of the Opportunity Campus and how you and I talked about it before anybody else was talking about it.
I agree with that. And I actually believe that conversation will be happening, because people are wanting to make a difference and people are wanting to engage, but sometimes they just don't know how to. And but also bringing that to the forefront, like you just said, is like, this is what we're doing. And oh my goodness, I'm excited about the future, because I think the more that we start to talk about it and really allow people to see what it is, and talk about the stuff that is uncomfortable, but that keeps moving us forward. So
that's uncomfortable, but I truly believe, and I'm a living witness, can be addressed.
Yeah.
It's not the fun stuff to talk about, but I was 19, sleeping on the street, homeless, sleeping in cars, and going through things. I stand before you all 20 years later, thriving. And again, yes, I worked hard, but it's because of people like Ann Smolsky and Brenda Council and Jim Soto and Nikki Zaporowski and all of those people who have touched my life in between, that have supported me in being where I'm at. And Opportunity Campus will give us a chance to get rid of chance. It will make sure that there are opportunities for our young people. And I don't think there's anything better for us to put ourselves behind. So I'm thankful for you giving me some time today to talk about this. I'm overly thankful for everyone who's going to support us through this process. And I'm excited to do this in my city, in my home state, a place that I love more than I can really describe.
All right, Dominique, we will definitely get together in the next maybe 2 to 3 months and just have a recap and keep talking about this, because everything, it's just like ease, joy, glory with everybody. And how do we create just the most magnitude? I mean, I'm stumbling here. It's all good. I mean, it's all good. And we all are here for everybody. And the more we talk about this and the more that we just kind of bring everybody together, I just think that's beautiful. And I just, again, thank you so much for this conversation. My gosh, I just love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. My backdrop, though I'm not here live, is Labritson Gardens in Omaha, Nebraska. Beautiful, beautiful place. But I encourage you to please go Metro Magazine, all one word, on Facebook, like us on Instagram, connect with us on LinkedIn, and all those great places. But looking forward to seeing you back here next week.